Asian Network. This is
No Filter.
No Filter, the place on this show where we get intimate, where we go soul to soul and toe to toe with artists who I really respect, but possibly not just about their music, even though the show is all about the music. This is a chance for you guys to find out about the man and the woman behind the myth they may have already created for themselves. And tonight's guest is none other than one half of Scottish super duo Tigerstyle. Raj, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And I know there will be many people listening in right now going, why have you only got one half of Tigerstyle in? So let's just get that out of the way, because there are reasons behind this. Why have you not come as brothers from other mothers?
Right, well, basically, a couple of years ago, both of us decided that it was time for a bit of a career change, and both of us ended up joining the Scottish Police Force. So...
Wait. Rewind, selector.
Rewind.
Both you and Raj.
Me and Pops.
You and Pops already, this is how inextricably intertwined you two are.
Yeah.
I'm messing your names up. Both of you decided to become policemen.
Yeah. Basically, most people probably don't realise this, but my mum was the first Asian policewoman in Scotland back in the 1974, 1975, something like that. So it was always a career path that was kind of interesting to me and to Pops as well. A couple of years back, there was a bit of a push for Police Scotland to kind of recruit more ethnic minorities, and we thought it was time. We thought it was the right time to kind of take that step and move into policing. So both of us work for the Scottish Police Force in different areas, and because we're on kind of conflicting shift patterns, I had the day off, he couldn't get the day off, so that's why he's not here.
Okay. Talk about this taking a left turn within 20 seconds of starting tonight's No Filter. Both of you are serving Her Majesty's Police Force. Both of you are sons of one of the original Scottish Desi police officers. That's insane.
Yeah.
So can we rewind back to just tell me about like what was that like for you guys growing up? Because these days obviously you go out and about, you see a lot of police officers from ethnic minority backgrounds. There's always issues around it. Some of it's good, some of it's people discussing issues around race. What was it like when you were growing up? Because that was, no disrespect, many decades ago.
Yeah. Well, my mum kind of left the police force before I was born. But she would always kind of tell stories about how she used to work and what it was like being a policewoman back in those days. And some of our friends kind of joined the police force as well a good 10 years ago. So they were kind of talking about what it was like for them going through the recruitment process and stuff like that, and what it was like actually being on the job. And it was just an area that I've always kind of been interested in. The type of TV stuff that I watch was always Road Wars and body cam TV and all that kind of stuff, So I always thought it was really interesting. So yeah, it was just a step I really wanted to take, and it was, I think I've always had a good view of the police, and I understand that even the Sikh community has, or certain parts of the Sikh community within England have a certain view of the police force or whatever, but being part of the police force now, I've had nothing but positivity from members of the public that I deal with, and from other officers that that are my colleagues and stuff like that, and even upper management and stuff like that, so it's been a really positive process for me the whole way through.
Now, I've known you since, definitely since I started on Radio 1, which was 17 years ago. And one thing that's been very apparent to me has been the amount of music you're producing, both of you are producing, has gone down by quite a bit. And now this explains everything, because even though you're still producers, you're giving out producers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of taken a decision that we're only going to release maybe 1 or 2 songs a year, and just kind of produce music that we're happy doing, instead of constantly. It kind of gotten to a point where it was becoming more and more challenging to kind of sustain a livelihood out of just purely working on music all the time. Especially since the scene seems to have kind of gravitated towards India. And if your earnings are all coming from India, most artists will probably not tell you, but most artists find it more and more difficult to bring money that's earned from India back to the UK, and that's why I think you're seeing more and more artists that are from the UK starting to base themselves in India 6 months out of the year or whatever.
Can I just stop you there? If you don't mind me asking, I totally get the whole, if you earn money in India, I mean, if everything's fully above board, and it often isn't in the music industry, you're not actually supposed to bring it back because the Indian government takes a massive chunk out of it. Are you also saying that the money's not that good out there if you're a British Asian artist anyway, or is it just the fact that you can't bring it back?
Partially that you can't bring it back, but also because the way the game works is like, as a producer, it's kind of like, you come up with the song concept, you create the beats and everything, and you put a scratch track together, and then you pitch it to different artists to see who wants it, and then someone jumps on board, and then you have to pitch that finished article to a label and try and get a budget, and they want half the royalties out of it as well, and then they want you to buy fake views on YouTube and all that kind of stuff as well. And it's just like, how much investment is the artist supposed to put in? You shoot your own videos, you put in all the time for the production and put budget behind things, and then if you're not seeing a return, it just feels more and more like a waste of time.
I totally get why that would kind of muddy the waters for you and your brother, because the one thing about both you and Pops is you're pretty stand-up kind of guys. You know what I mean? I think it's fair to say you live quite moral lives. Your religion's always guided you, so I can see how all of that would really mess with your buzz, just to use a street phrase. Can I quickly pick up something you said on there? Everyone knows that fake views are part of the industry, and when I see views on anything now, I just think, I don't know if this is real or not. You mentioned that the label wants you guys, or wants producers and musicians to do this. Is it blatant? Do they literally go, okay, put aside this much for the fake views?
It's put it this way. If you go to a label and you say, we want to pitch this song, blah, 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 you could have the best song in the world, but what they're going to ask you is, how many views did your last song get, or how many views does your channel have, how many subscribers do you have, blah blah blah. And then they want to say that they'll start saying to you, oh, your last song only had like 6 million views, and like you might have a fair number of organic views and not have put that much money into it, and majority of your views might actually be real views, but
maybe even more so than other hits.
But what they want to see, or what they're kind of trying to gauge, is how much money you're putting behind your own product, to try and show that, in 24 hours, I've put a lot of money behind this, and I've paid for 20 million views just so that I can get trending on YouTube, and so that I look like a much more popular artist than I actually am. Whereas we're not about that. For me to gauge how well my music is doing, I want to put a song on YouTube, or put a song on a platform, and be able to see where my fan base is coming from and how many actual organic views I'm getting, because that is going to show me what kind of direction I should be focusing on.
So no wonder you joined the feds, bruv. That's all I'm saying. That seems, in terms of the music industry, that seems like a mess. It seems like a bit of a disaster, and it seems like the enemy of why I know most musicians get into the game, which is just to create.
Yeah. And the other thing that this whole kind of system is working against is new emerging artists, because there's so many artists out there that are really, really talented, but they're just not getting a platform, or they're not getting the success that they should be getting, because maybe they don't have the budget to put behind buying fake views or whatever, or
well, they shouldn't.
promoting their own
No
stuff.
one starting out in the music industry should have to buy ever one single fake view, because already, if you ask me, even if it's part of the game, that's mashed up and that's messed up. And secondly, can you imagine how many people are priced out of this as a career? Because, you know, like old Bunty over here has got a dad who can give him loads of money, and then old Shanti, well, I've just made that name up, his cousin brother hasn't got any money. That's it. That person's already leaving the music industry before they've even recorded a track.
Yeah, and then you'd be surprised how many people like contact us, like singers that are actually really talented. You know, they'll contact you and be like, you know, Baji, how much do you charge for your production? And then they'll be like, you know, asking, you know, how much budget do we need for a video? In like with this kind of budget, what kind of video can we get? How much do we need to then put into promotion? Or will we get a deal from a label in India? What label will take our song? They're always asking these questions, and when you tell them the kind of figures that you have to work with these days, they're just like, there's no way we could ever afford that. And it's sad because talented people are getting put off.
Okay, so just so you know, dear listener listening at home, this is the whole thing about No Filter. You can have a plan. My whole plan was to discuss growing up in Scotland, definitely to discuss the fact that you and your brother have always taken your Sikh religion and Sikhi very seriously. So we are going to go on to that.
Yeah.
But seriously, I just didn't think I'd be discussing fake views with you for like 15 minutes or thereabouts.
This is the thing though, Bobby, like loads of folk will come on here and they'll just paint this like nice rosy picture of what it's like to be an artist, and you know, kind of still try and project that view that you know artists do well. We are the same people that you see in the videos. We live that lifestyle, but 90% of people don't live anywhere near the lifestyle that they're projecting on their videos. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit here and lie to everyone and say, you know, Banjo, be a singer, be a producer, you know, and not tell them the harsh reality of things. That it's hard work. For 17, 18 years, it was a proper struggle for me and Pops to actually sustain a business. You know, like I would generally be in the studio from the moment I wake up until almost dinner time, you know, and it would just be me sitting at the desk trying to constantly come up with beats, and Pop's constantly trying to contact folk to generate leads and get kind of commissions for us to make music. And when the kind of scene in India or the scene here was kind of drying up, we were trying to find opportunities for us to get funding through kind of Scottish Arts Council to provide kind of some sort of educational workshops for kids, because we did that for a long time, a good like 5-6 years. We went into like schools and did workshops on how to produce music using very simple software. We put on arts projects at an arts venue, a couple of arts venues in Glasgow, projects that ran for like a year or 2 years, with kind of people from disadvantaged backgrounds, letting them kind of learn how to DJ or learn how to produce, and giving them a different outlet for, you know, to stop them kind of going onto the streets and getting involved in crime and stuff like that. It's definitely, it's been a lot harder than you would imagine to sustain a business for 17, 18 years in this industry.
Well, look, I appreciate the fact that you've come on to a place called No Filter and definitely removed your filter. I appreciate the fact that you're being blatantly honest, because everyone talks about fake views. No one's come onto my show and they've said this person might be buying fake views, but no one's actually told us the actual darkness of being in an industry where that comes before even the quality of a track. So I thank you for that. But I'm going to play a tune, and then I really want to discuss your relationship with your religion, and also your relationship with other people who follow your religion, if you don't mind me asking.
No, what?
And we've just spent the first, pretty much half of the interview talking about fake views. So let's just move away from that now, Raj. One thing I really want to talk about is your relationship with the Sikh religion. And the reason I bring this up, coming from a Sikh background myself and someone who's, I think it's fair to say, not very religious at all, one thing that I've always really been proud of when it comes to you guys is you've managed to do what you do and managed to fly the flag for music, but you've managed to do it whilst also really, really taking your religion seriously. And by that I mean you guys took Amrit, right?
Yeah.
You're baptized Sikhs.
Yeah.
So what's that been like for you? I mean, surely there's been parts where you've gone, this is a dirty game. You know, our path is one of light and beauty. Why are we getting into this dirty game?
Well, don't get me wrong. I think religion is something that is personal to every individual, and I think everybody has their own journey within their kind of spirituality, right? When I was growing up, like from a very young age, like we used to go to the Gurdwara regularly. I learned how to play tabla, and then part of learning how to play tabla, I ended up playing tabla with the Gyani at the Gurdwara. I went to the Gurdwara to learn Punjabi, learned how to read and write Punjabi, and then, you know, got it. Like my passion for music kind of came from beginning to do kirtan at the Gurdwara, you know, having a vaja, learning to sing. My understanding of Punjabi as a language and stuff all developed from Gurbani. Obviously, when you grow up and you reach a certain kind of stage in your life, you start going to uni and stuff like that, and you experiment and things. You know, like I'm the same as anybody else. You know, I'm not faultless. Being in this industry as well and being exposed to certain things, I've faltered along the way. You know, but a few years back, I went through Amrit Sanchar, and since that point, I've tried to be as disciplined as I can be. I think everyone's makes mistakes here and there, but there's always been this conscious effort to try not to promote songs or themes within our songs that would kind of work against our own kind of beliefs. So we try not to push songs that are about drinking or being intoxicated or like overly trying to hit on women or trying to, you know, paint a bad picture of females and stuff like that, because we don't want to have people that are, you know, that are part of our community coming back to us and saying, you know, like, you have this image but you're not, you know, kind of, you're projecting the wrong thing through your music. And then the other thing is, like, we've always done like dharmic songs as well, so we've always had like religious or spiritual songs that we've released on a separate kind of platform, and when we go on tour, we get more feedback about them than we do our commercial music.
Wow.
You wouldn't believe the amount of people that have contacted us and said, you know what, the Gabru Punjabi song that you released on Immortal Shahidi, that's my gym track, or that song changed my life. Or, you know, Paji, listening to those dharmic songs, I went for Amrit Sanchar, and I now do my part and stuff. And when you hear that feedback, you know, it really kind of inspires you to take more of an interest in your own religion and follow it better, because you realise that you're becoming a role model for people, and if you falter, then you're not really setting a good example for them.
Has that path always been, like you've just told me it, and it's beautiful. I think for someone like you or your brother, if you've taken Amrit and someone says one of your tracks has essentially returned me to the fold, it's made me baptized, you know, I've become a baptized Sikh, that must be the greatest thing. Has it always been that elevating and that uplifting and liberating, or has there been a rocky road? Because look, I've got my own past experience. We're not going to go into it now, where I've dealt with religious people, and not a lot of religious people live such beautiful lives and they live by the rules. I have met many religious people who profess themselves to be very religious, who I don't think live like that. Mm. Have you had that experience?
Not so much that experience. I think what you tend to find is that there's like kind of levels. You know, some people get overly fanatical, you know, and I don't think it's right. If you're like, you can believe to whatever level you want, and you can be as disciplined as you want, but I don't think you should ever try and kind of push anyone too hard or judge anyone too hard, because who are we to judge? You know,
have you ever been judged by other?
Don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, you will. I've had that as well. People have said, you know, if you're Amritdhari, you shouldn't be making music that makes people dance, or you shouldn't be going to parties where there's, or going into clubs and DJing when you have this image, or that now that you're Amritdhari, maybe you shouldn't be making music at all, apart from like kirtan or dharmic stuff. I
mean, to me, can I just interrupt? Like we talk about this stuff all the time. Me and my friends, we all come from mixed backgrounds, and a lot of my Muslim friends have this debate all the time. Not the debate of is music haram, because if you're in the music industry and you're Muslim, I think it's pretty obvious you don't think it's haram, all right? But they do get a lot of pressure, and the reason why they get a lot of pressure is because there's a big school of thought in many Islamic countries and within many Islamic backgrounds that music is haram. For me, I totally understand the dharmic side of things, but I haven't met many Sikhs, even baptized Sikhs, who think, I'm not saying, they're not going to say music's haram, but they think you should only make dharmic music now you've been baptized. Is that a growing school of thought?
I wouldn't say it's a growing school of thought. It's just, I think that's actually quite a minority that would say that have said that to me, or that have even mentioned that to me. But there is that thought there. I mean, Sikhi's always kind of been, a lot of it is based in music. Like our scripture's written in rags. It's all written in in a musical format. Our scripture's sung. At the Gurdwara,
the Guru Granth Sahib is sung. It's not read.
It's all music. It's all about vibrations and all that kind of positive stuff. But there is that kind of thought as well. When you're at a party, wedding receptions especially, there's people drinking, and then you've got like male and female dancing together and blah blah blah. Kisi di akan buri hundiya and blah blah blah. You've got people that think that music makes people act in a certain way, but to me it's all about what's in your heart. If you're out there and you're dancing and you're having a good time and whatever, and you don't have a bad thought in your head, what's the harm in it?
Last question related to religion now. You've grown up a Sikh, you've grown up in Scotland as a Sikh, you wear your religion so proudly, and you've taken Amrit and you've become baptized. What's it like being a baptized Sikh in 2019? Is it harder or easier? And generally, what's going on, bruv?
I would say it's easier, because I think now there's so many platforms for you to kind of learn more about your religion, and I think generally people are out with the Sikh community are more educated about who Sikhs are, thanks to the hard work that's been put in by certain organisations like Basics of Sikhi and like Seek to Inspire and other organisations that are out there. There's so many like really good Sikhi camps as well now, where people can go and they can explore their spirituality and have discussions and learn more about their religion and stuff like that. So I think in that sense it's become a lot easier. Growing up as a Sikh in Scotland, Scottish people are generally so friendly and way more friendly than English people. So yes, for Scotland. But I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been like times where I've faced racism or these kind of things, but generally I've had a very positive kind of experience, especially growing up in Scotland, being from an ethnic minority background that's very visible. It's been brilliant.
We've discussed religion. We've discussed fake views. I couldn't ask for more on a No Filter, but I think the time has come for you, and we've discussed this slightly before in the previous times we've chatted, but it's always been musical. Let's just talk about Scotland full stop, all right? Sure. Because when we used to talk about this before, it was all very much like, yeah, you lot, you lot want independence, and we'd have a bit of a laugh about it. Yeah. We now meet in 2019, and there's a podcast called Scottistan, that the Asian Network has at the moment. Brexit's happening. People are talking about the United Kingdom breaking up in the next 2 or 3 years, not the next 2 or 3 centuries. So Where are you right now? Like, how do you feel as a Scottish Sikh in 2019, post-Brexit, post the madness of technology?
I think when you speak to Desis that are from Scotland, they're all very proud of their Scottish heritage. You'll find that with anyone you meet from up there, even folk that haven't been born there or brought up there, people that have emigrated there at later stages in their life, they'll still tell you that is the best place to live in the world, because it's such a lovely place to grow up, to bring up children. The kind of lifestyle there is at a kind of different pace to England, and it's just such a beautiful country as well. Like, we in the last few weeks, I've had a chance to actually go out and kind of see a bit more of Scotland, and you don't actually realise how beautiful the actual country is, or how beautiful certain parts of it are, and how much is actually just on your own doorstep until you actually go out and see it. And the people in Scotland are amazing. Like, sometimes in the job that I'm in now, sometimes you'll meet folk that you wouldn't see in your general day-to-day circle. You wouldn't mix with those people. Or
I can only imagine it.
Yeah.
As a police officer, you're going to meet everybody.
Yeah. And sitting in your kind of sweet little bubble and in the life that you lead, if I wasn't in this job, I would probably have a pretty low view of those people, or if they were on the street, I would cross the street to avoid them. But when you actually go into those people's houses and you see what the difficulties they actually face, you actually develop a bit of an understanding of why they've ended up like that, or why they don't have the same aspirations or the same ambition as other people. And you kind of learn to appreciate the hard work that your parents have put in, and you appreciate how lucky you actually are to not have been put in those positions. And then the feeling that you get after helping someone in these kind of difficult situations that they're in, I don't think you can beat it.
Wow. Today's a day of wows for me. No filters usually are, but I never thought about that. Becoming a policeman could actually teach you more empathy, not less.
Yeah. It makes you a little bit more cynical as well.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. But you do see a whole different side of life, and it really changes your perspective and challenges your kind of preconceptions that you have about people, and actually kind of makes you hate humankind a wee bit as well, because the horrible things that people do to each other is just beyond words sometimes, but then again, you see a lot of beauty out there as well, people that have nothing but will go out their way to help others.
So how do you talked about hating humankind? I get what you mean. You just basically see some stuff no one wants to see.
Yeah.
How do you go home and ensure that stuff doesn't leak out of your body and out of your soul into your home life?
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. You kind of need a good support system at home. You need a family that's tight. You need a wife that's going to support you. You need an outlet as well. Sometimes, I've found, especially like go to the gym and stuff, and being able to kind of take out your frustration and working out is a really good way to handle all these kind of situations. Sikhi kind of helps you with it as well, Seva and Simran kind of helps focus your mind and stuff like that, so it helps you deal with these difficult emotions. It's not easy, but you find ways of dealing with things.
Wow. So Raj, I think we're going to finish it here, just because it feels like the right place to finish. I just want to say, like, I've known you for a long time. I've never known you like this, and I don't know if that's because it's No Filter and we're not discussing music, because all we ever did was discuss music,
yeah.
or whether it's because you've gone through a profound change yourself.
Yeah, I think part of it is the profound change, but I think the fact that you have this no filter interview and it's less about the music, because I mean, how many times can I tell the story about where the name Tigerstyle came from? Or like,
All the time you went to Poland and they called you lot Taliban.
Yeah,
which is a famous anecdote from back in the day. Don't worry, dear listener, I'll tell you another time.
Yeah, so it's good to have this kind of interview where you can just like openly just chat about other subjects and just kind of get it all out there.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please take our love back to your brother, to your family, and back to all our Scottish brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I will do. I'll pass on all your love.
Asian Network.